Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach James here from Orange Theory Gresham. I'm here to go over Thursday the 4th's 2,000 meter benchmark row. So as we get started, we take a look at the 3G first, right? Weight floor and treadmills are going to have their typical 5 minutes to get warm today as they settle into base. The rowers in this case, because that is a benchmark day, will have something unique to go through. So make sure we communicate at the beginning. They're not just getting moving to get warm. They'll exclusively have a 250 meter base row by 2 bodyweight movements that's gonna prime the lower half as they get ready for their benchmark, as that gets things kicked off for the day for them. As we move into forecasting blocks, the treadmills will have a distance to recovery that they'll rinse and repeat for the better part of 14 minutes. Runners and joggers will take on a quarter mile with a push. Power walkers, we'd like to see that half distance, about 0.13 today, with a 5% incline or greater, and then a 1 minute recovery. We'll wanna make sure that treads are setting the tone with their first push in that distance, and they're looking to essentially match or beat that intensity as they get a chance to repeat that effort. Of course, we're gonna save that last 60 seconds for a 1 minute all-out finisher before we get to move on. As we move to the rowers, that being, of course, the highlight of the day, right? 2,000 meter benchmark row. We have a lot to communicate here beyond just resetting screens and then tracking finishing times. It is a big distance that we know can be intimidating, so we want to make sure we break it up into chunks, really set our members up for success with the how of getting this done. So I'd encourage you break up this 2,000 meter row in 500 meter increments or in quarters to kind of help mentally process with members how we're going to achieve finishing this within that time frame. The first 500 meters is all about setting your split time and your rhythm today, right? That 500 meter split just underneath the distance on that OT Connect tablet is going to give them a good idea with some quick math where they may finish ×4 as they get started. So with that first 500 meters, give them the opportunity just to kind of set the pace, right? It is an endurance day after all, so consistency and sustainability is really what we're looking for, which actually moves you into that second 500 meters. It's once that first quarter gets set, we're looking to maintain through the 1,000 meter mark. As we move into that 1,500 meter gap, we're looking to maybe start to put a little more exhale through leg drive and try to shave off a second or two from that split time. Now we know those legs are gonna be heavy in your final 500 meter stretch. We're definitely gonna keep the foot on the gas. When members feel like they don't have much more to give, we know there's just a little bit more if we can encourage them to dig for it. As they get through the finish line, the last 100 meters is definitely an all out. When they finish, give them ample time to recover. Take a look at their times. They'll definitely plug it into their challenge tracker, make that effort known for sure, and then they'll come back. If there's any time remaining, there is indeed a bonus for this benchmark day. They'll move into a bodyweight exercise by a base row just to repeat for time. But be warned, they will be catching that 1 minute all-out finisher on the rowers as well. On the weight floor side, as you move into those 5 exercises, there's a circuit set up on the 3G, which really is gonna benefit kind of the first group that's there today. And the reason I say that is all these movements are good primers for the benchmark, right? A lot of hinging, some body weight movements to kind of get the blood flow going in the lower half and core stability. We definitely wanna focus on that today. Whereas groups 2 and 3 will already have gone through their benchmark. They could probably get away with giving a little bit more on the weight floor, but remember, circuit is self-paced. We want to make sure we're communicating, no one rushing through this block either way. It's something to look out for. The finisher on the 3G side is going to be a member's choice between a high plank or a low plank. So make sure we give them an ample opportunity to kind of make the room they need on the floor, depending on your setup, to get down and keep a nice tight core through that final 60 seconds. And we move on to the 2G side, some familiar patterns that we're gonna see. Of course, things look a little bit different. The rowers will have that same unique warm-up, 250 meters by those 2 exercises until their benchmark comes around. If we find ourselves with the tread group first, they're actually gonna have the weight floor demo. So they'll get a couple of minutes, only about 3 or so minutes to establish base on treads before you pull them off and down to your weight floor. You'll break down, of course, your block with only 4 out of those 5 main exercises that we saw in the 3G. They'll actually have a 0.3 distance push to kind of buy in as far as their tread efforts are concerned. Power walkers will have a full 0.15 at 5% before they take it to the floor and start to go through those primer movements while the rowers conquer their 2,000 meters. Again, wanting to set them up in quarters today and chewable bites, if you will, getting through it. The unique part with the bonus in the 2G setting is that they'll actually go to the treadmill treadmill for the remaining time. They'll get a 0.1 tread for distance and a 30-second recovery to rinse and repeat. I would encourage you establish base with that distance. Of course, members can do what they would like, but we definitely want to facilitate some recovery. A lot of that first energy is going to be coming off of that 2,000 meters. Now, it is a switch template if you're running 2G, so make sure both groups get that in before they move on, before moving into those following blocks. As we get back into the treads, they'll get a 7-minute opportunity to transition a 30-second push to 90-second base 3 times before they find themselves with a 1-minute all out. The weight floor side is going to have some additional movements that really focus on more recovery and full range of motion through a lot of the same moving parts that the rower would take place on. Again, it is a circuit. Make sure you communicate that self-pace, and they'll find themselves in that high or low plank by the end for their finisher. It's a great day to get hyped up for your members. Most will row 2,000 meters in any given 3G class anyway, but of course, doing it all at once seems a little bit more intimidating. So we're looking to celebrate all sorts of finishing times and victories here in the studio. Make sure the energy and music is loud, so we're keeping that heat behind our members as they accomplish this big 2,000 meters.